Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for the Australian Rare Earths and Critical Minerals Conference. Our next presentation is from Locksley Resources. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Carrie Matthews. She's the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Locksley Resources, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol LKYRF and on the ASX under the symbol LKY. Welcome, Carrie.
Thanks, John. Pleasure to be here. So I'll just get started into the presentation. Thank you very much for your time. I'm here to talk about our Mojave project, which is a dual commodity antimony and rare earth deposit in California in the US. So just walk you through our corporate snapshot. We have a relatively new board and executive leadership team. So myself, Carrie Matthews, I have 20 plus years working in resources, mining and resources, primarily within the Australian context. My background is major projects, so multi-billion-dollar format, ex-BHP, iron ore supply chain, having worked on some major projects there, and also ex-ILUCA with experience working on critical minerals, rare earth, refinery, Eneabba, for that organisation, and development and delivery throughout. We also have Danny George, who is our Chief Operating Officer. He's an incredibly experienced engineering manager with proven capital efficient project execution in field. He's worked with a variety of contractors on behalf of a number of owners or tier one organisations. We also have Pat Burke, who is our chairman, really well known in ASX, and also Bevan Tarrant, who has a number of years corporate structuring and corporate finance. So our current structure is our market cap sits around about the 107 million. You can see from our share. Our shares there that you can see that we've flexed. So we sort of ranged between the 107 to 150 million market cap. We've got an EV of 99 million and $7 million cash at bank at the moment. We have three key corporate pillars at Locksley. So we're a USA focused, California based project. We are located, the neurology or located near the Mountain Pass mine in that region in California. We're about a 60-minute drive out of Las Vegas. We're critical minerals focused. So the thematic in the US at the moment is a key facilitator of this strategy. We are a dual commodity, so antimony and rare earth projects with potential to fast track through government support, which we've engaged early with government support. We target alignment with the Defence Production Act and the Department of War and the Department of Energy funding. We also have a downstream processing strategic arm, which is establishing or reshoring onshore capability, particularly for antimony into the US. And we have a project development pipeline that will look to establish processing and refining capability for Locksley Resources into the US market. So these three pillars really guide and shape how we conduct business in the US. So we have four key elements associated with our strategic focus. So primarily being a federal alignment. So the requirement is, I think, well understood or emerging to be well understood within the US context that there is an urgent need to re-establish onshore capability for critical mineral supply chain. The vulnerability for reliance on imports from China is recognised. There have been a series of executive orders to fast track critical mineral production, and there's multiple federal funding pathways that have been established. In terms of Locksley, the context for us is that we have an EXIM, the Export-Import Bank, a letter of interest, which shows commitment, a possible commitment up to 191 million from EXIM, and that there is strategic merit in Locksley's project, but also our downstream planning and our downstream capability. Project developments focus specifically on processing and refining capability of antimony in this context. is streamlined. We have a bias to action. We are adopting a non-traditional pathway to stand up a pilot plant rapidly, and have already developed a 100% American-made ingot, antimony ingot, the first of its kind in decades. And the reason that I say that is because the ingot was developed using ore from Mojave, which is obviously a US-based deposit, and processed through US-based labs and infrastructure to develop the ingot. So that is a validation and a proof of our strategy. 3 pillars just mentioned. We have that upstream exploration and development, and then we also have our downstream strategy to deliver processing and refining capability into the US. And so the antimony ingot is really a demonstration and validation of that strategy. From an exploration standpoint, we are a dual mineral project, so antimony and rare earth. We're in a tier 1 jurisdiction. To date, we've had high-grade surface samples for rare earth, 12.1% TREO and 46% SB. And we've had an exceptional antimony concentrate developed during the process of developing the ingot, which was at 68%. So we have drilling scheduled for both antimony and rare earth, and drilling programs approved, and we have a polymetallic potential with high-grade silver recorded in surface samples in our deposit area. From a technology standpoint, we have a clear focus for technological development in execution of our strategy. So we have partnered with Rice University to develop a deep solve processing technology and next-gen battery storage applications. So we have a research agreement with Rice University to develop deep solve, and that is underway as we speak. And really focusing on that bench scale testing through commercial to deployment. We have a number of strategic partnerships to support our endeavours and execution of strategy. So firstly, we've appointed former or retired Major General Peter Lambert to our USA Advisory Board to support our US government defence engagement. So we're really focused on that downstream offtake customer engagement to ensure that we are delivering into that market in a way that is needed and required. We have partnered with Tribeca Capital and Veritas to be our strategic advisors with respect to critical mineral and strategic guidance for downstream strategy, both in the US market. We have advisory teams within the US named GreenMet, and GreenMet have been pretty instrumental in facilitating our understanding of funding access and government relations in the US, and ensuring that we are responding in kind to the ask of government and the recognition of the requirement to stand up supply chains for antimony specifically. The appointment of Tribeca, Veritas in the US, also GreenMet, also aligns with a recent upgrade in the OTC. So looking to establish and broaden our US investor exposure, and that's a key facilitation of that step. Our strategic partnerships also really strengthen our position as a USA-aligned developer and critical mineral supply chain provider. We've also partnered with Hazen Research in Colorado, who are a met processing provider. So they will support us to better understand our ore composition and processing pathway. So that's a really positive partnership and step forward to deliver in real time, and the Exim Bank letter of intent. So to our Mojave project, I think the key call out here is the proximity to Mountain Pass Mine, which is the only producing rare earth mine in the US. And you can see that El Campo to the south there is abutting our Mountain Pass claims, and you can also see that up to the north there, Coliseum Mine. So you can see that, and to the right on the orange is the Mojave Desert Antimony Mine, which has been discovered as part of our 491 claims. We've got 4 packages, about 40 square kilometres of ground out there. We have drilling application approved at El Campo. We have our Desert antimony mine drilling approved, and we're funded for 2025 exploration. Important to call out the neurology around Mountain Pass mine affords services in the general area. You can see that there's the I-15, which is a public highway that cuts through the center of that diagram there, means that we've got sealed roads and easy access to sites. So all of these means a more efficient economic development of our deposit at Mojave. I spoke earlier of our Rice University collaboration. So Rice University are known as a global leader in advanced materials and energy research. We're partnering with them to enhance the USA technology to address, or USA-based development of technology to address the processing gap in the supply chain in the US. We are directly aligned with US public policy and priorities around securing end-to-end domestic supply and onshore capability of antimony. And it vertically integrates our business. So we see this as a real enhancer to our offering into the market. We have a really clear strategic pathway from upstream to downstream, and this technology development, this technology partnership is something that we believe really value adds to our proposition. So it's a fast track development. We have two thrusts, so thrust one being our deep solve and the primary focus for technology to recover antimony from mining feedstock. And the outcome here is to really focus on building a domestic mine to market supply chain. So our strategy is that mine to market delivery into a US market that is undersupplied with huge amounts of demand. So the deep solve processing technology, what it really does is look to develop a lower energy, reduced emissions with a closed loop possibility, highly selective to select the antimony in recovery trials, and a simpler separation recovery with a strong fit to US policy and clean tech goals. There is a well-trodden path established, which is the traditional pyromet that works and that is established in processing and refining. So what we're looking to do is enhance that into a greener, a less energy intense alternative to traditional pathways through pyromet. I think it's really important to understand that the antimony market is growing. We estimate that to be around 7.9% per annum, with demand up in the billions. So there is a really available market to lean into the US and establish and support, the endeavors to re-establish onshore capability. And Deep Solve is a research partnership, and we're very excited to see where this takes us. So just, a representation of the traditional pyromet, which uses an extreme heat, quite energy intense, into what is an also established process in the hydromet. But what we're looking to do is replace the current solvents used through that hydromet process and replace them with our deep solve, greener technology with a higher metal recovery. The Desert Antimony mine, which is a former functioning mine, so called DAM, D-A-M, has been identified through our exploration activities, and it was a historically producing, in the early 1900s, so 1930-ish. It's a high-grade antimony polymetallic results within the claim areas. We've had high-grade from surface sample delivered. We've undertaken a number of drill-ready applications. So we undertake a number of applications which are drill-ready and approved by the BLM to better understand this deposit, but really positive indications as it stands at the moment, and that it was a historic working mine. We've identified about 230 metres of existing adits in that area. And there's really clear mineralogy in those adits as well. So that's a really, our Desert Antimony Mine Dam project is a really positive indicator. We have Done quite a bit of field reconnaissance with the Locksley team, so confirmed a number of stibnite-bearing veins. We've got structural mapping that's taken place, delivering 3 mineralized veins within the broader target corridor. We have expanded our program to target high-grade unmined zones, so we're targeting that through our geological mapping and our 3D modeling with surface sampling to deliver our exploration target as it stands. Part of our development and sampling within the dam desert antimony deposits has delivered clarity to understand that we have a simple or a primary stibnite ore, which is an important distinction because it means that it will be less complex and more efficient to develop when considered with other byproducts or secondary stibnite deposits. We've sort of mentioned there Perpetua, amongst others, which are a gold base antimony deposit, as where ours is a simple or a primary stibnite ore. El Campo, which is our rare earth deposit, it's located along the strike from MP Materials. It's only about 1.4 kilometres away. We've done rock chip samples, which have delivered some really interesting results that look to be, ranged from 3 to 9%. We've had a result including 3.19% of NdPr, which has applicability in magnets. We've had 12 high-grade rock chips that have delivered results of up to 12% of TREO. And we have 5 holes planned in the near term at El Campo to better understand that deposit. So in terms of our supply network and our mine-to-market strategy of upstream delivering into downstream capability into the US for antimony, we've just developed a clear step-by-step process. So it really is around developing the desert antimony mine. So that's ore extraction, crushing, stockpiling, concentration, developing a con, tailings management, and sampling. And these are all the normal standard processes. We are considering our best location to truck to. So it's Nevada or Texas at the moment, but that's still to be finalised and determined. We will then look to develop a refining facility and downstream capability, also considering Nevada and Texas, just a number of factors to work through with that. But that will be where we receive the concentrate, prep for the hydro smelting circuit with our deep solve, refining and casting in that location, and then distribute out to the US defense markets and other market endpoints. So antimony has application into defense munitions and the like, but it's also a really excellent flame retardant. So and has other usage, a whole host of other usages, specifically around energy transition and renewables. So from a defense market standpoint, really focused around defense primes, aerospace as well, technology sectors, and strategic stockpiles as required by the US government. So you can see that sort of demonstration of our strategic thinking that has a plan to deliver into that downstream. Our pathway and where we're up to at the moment. So completed, I've just mentioned that we've done some exploration activities for our Campo, which is our rare earth deposit. We have received our high-grade indicative results there. We have a maiden exploration program and further exploration program planned in the near term. Similarly, with our dam deposit, with our antimony deposit, we also have approval for a drilling program into next year. And then we'll streamline our ore extraction from that desert antimony mine. From a processing standpoint, that downstream component of our strategy, we have the Rice University collaboration, which you can see is that deep solve development for solvent replacement with a greener solvent replacement. But then we will continue in our bench scale testing. It's a research partnership, so that will continue to progress. And then we'll move into a commercial deployment of deep solve once we're satisfied that it meets the required parameters. Not in this presentation, but recently announced is also a partnership with Columbia University. So similarly, really interested in developing technology through research and looking at sustainable process technology for rare earth elements and critical minerals. This partnership with Columbia is AI driven. It's about electrochemical recovery and CO2 assisted for minimizing processing, for minimal processing. It's complementary to our Deep Solve technology and our Deep Solve research with Rice University, and it aligns with the recently announced Department of Energy Mines of the Future funding pathway. So synergistically, we've got a really clear strategy and pathway from exploration and development at our Mojave project through to that technology partnership and development to understand and develop better alternatives to processing and refining capability that is focused on less energy intensive and greener alternatives to the current traditional pathways. And we have a really clear strategy for our downstream capability of processing and refining, and a really clear plan to do that in a non-traditional pathway with a rapid bias to action to deliver into and re-establish the domesticated supply of antimony in the US market. That just provides an overview of our next steps as I've stepped through, where we've recently been in the US talking with strategic investment partnerships, in addition to meeting with Australian and US government representatives in DC, recent partnerships with Rice and have been in Houston talking with the team to get a better understanding of development. Also met with the Columbia team too. So have had a really engaged visit here to advance these next steps in our strategy. So that's all from me as part of this presentation. Thank you very much for your time and your interest in Locksley Resources. We have a really exciting strategy, and we have a really clear plan to re-establish or to be a part of re-establishing onshore capability in the US, in a market the size of the US. We have a clear plan to do so. So thank you very much for your time. There are opportunities to book a one-on-one meeting if you would like to understand more about Locksley. Thank you.